Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So my name's Renee Podris. I'm the lead grant manager for RLC, as most of you probably know. Derek's going to be doing the slides. Please feel free to input questions if there's the question and answer message area. And then, yeah, I'll just get started. Next slide, Derek. Okay, we will be going over the following topics during this webinar: the grant application timeline, GMS, grant project summary, the application budget, and providing a little guidance on advances as well. On this slide, you can see important dates for the grant application. The notice of funds available was released, and the due date for applications is April 16th, 2024. The grants are awarded in June. Advance packages should be finalized and sent to Department of Finance in June as well. And lastly, you can begin spending the grant on July 1st. If I pause here and there, it's because I'm just admitting people in, just so you know. Okay. Each local Corps now has their application template in GMS. The guidelines and instructions are on the summary page of RLC39 application in GMS. Please ensure everyone who needs to access the application in GMS can. Please also remove any unnecessary context. There are 4 instructional videos at the link and web addresses shown here. Please refresh your memory or use them to navigate GMS for the first time. A web pass is required to be able to access GMS. You will need to go to the web address shown at the top of the page and click Create Account if you don't already have one. Once your web pass is created, you will go to this web page and log into GMS. And on the right shows, oops, go back real quick, Derek. On the right side of this slide, it shows what, if you haven't logged into GMS before, this is what it looks like when you start to log in. So on the right here. Okay, so in order to find your grant application, select the RLC39 grant application by clicking on Application, indicated here below the yellow arrow. Be careful not to click Delete, which is to the right of the application. Please do not select Apply for a grant, which is in blue and bolded above. We have created an application for you to fill out that you will see once you select Application. As I mentioned in an earlier slide, if you are unable to see your RLC39 grant application, you will need to make sure you have access to that particular grant. Please ensure to allow access box is checked for necessary contacts. If you cannot get into the grant or see any information pertaining to RLC39, you will need to ask another grant contact to provide you access. Or you can ask your grant manager. Okay, the summary page shows all the documents required for your application under the application checklist. In addition, it provides resource links and resource documents. Ensure that all the green check marks that are needed to complete your grant are on this page and checked. All green means go. This is the applicant participant tab. The applicant participant tab verifies that your Corps is the one applying for the grant. Pretty easy. Next slide. And this is grant participant detail. You'll just go in and verify the information on the applicant participation tab is correct. Next is the Detail tab, where you will enter in your project summary. Here you can see San Jose as an example. Please ensure you fill everything out completely in all of the boxes provided. Next slide, please.
I'm going to mention one thing here. On your project summary statement of use, please write that in a Word document and ensure that it's no longer than 600 characters and spaces combined. If it's longer than that, we need to edit it because it needs to go into the grants.ca website.
I thought we weren't doing that anymore because it was an entitlement grant. I thought we weren't going to put our grant in that.
Just in case. Just
Okay,
in
so that's
case.
why I didn't say it, because I didn't think we were
Yeah.
doing it anymore.
Yeah. Just in case. Sometimes these decisions get changed. So we'll just get in the practice of keeping it at that length, and then we'll be good to go, even if we're told we have to do it later.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Contacts tab. Thank you, Derek. This is the Contacts tab. It shows numerous levels of responsibility in GMS. Please ensure there is both a primary and an authorization contact. The primary is the primary contact for the grant that your grant manager communicates with, and the authorization is the authorized signatory for the grant. To add a contact, click on Add Contact and enter in all information you see here. Please make sure you click the box that says Allow Access if you would like the new contact to see the grant information, which we mentioned earlier too. Oh, click one more time, Derek. That's the page where you add the new content. Okay, next slide. Here's the budget tab. On the budget tab, enter your total in the recycle line item, and then the total for each material fund. So at that top box where it says recycle, add in your total budget amount. That was a while ago. 1,600,000. Is that what it says, or 5, 6? Anyway, in the budget section, the remaining funds to budget, will be at zero when you have correctly inputted the material fund amounts. So you'll put the total at the top, and then each funding material fund will go below it. This is the Documents tab, where you will upload all of your required documents we saw on the Summary tab. To get a full tutorial and training on how to upload a document, please use the web address above, which was also some web addresses in previous slides as well. I just want to mention one thing, that I don't mention the resolution or the letter of commitment in this presentation. You have to work with not your grant manager, but your FPO contact, which is Natalie, and I will give you her information. So I'm just mentioning that. So if you have questions on resolutions or letter of commitments, those will go to her. Okay. The Grant Project Summary, or GPS, is one of the required documents that needs to be uploaded to GMS for your application. The GPS is a living document that is used as a tool to provide CalRecycle with a picture of what your core plans to accomplish for the first fiscal year of the grant. It shows your plans, performance, outcomes, and ensures your budget will properly support your activities. This slide is part of the GPS. Each material fund will have a couple objectives each. So let's go through the components of an objective. There are some people in the Teams, the Teams meeting. I'm gonna mute myself real quick and look in the Teams. Unless Vanessa or Drea, can you go in the Teams meeting and tell people to come into this meeting? Okay, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna go, somebody's gonna go in there and tell them. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so writing SMART objectives. Each objective needs to be specific. Each objective must be clear about what, where, when, and how the situation will be changed or improved. It needs to be measurable. It should include specific numbers that you are striving to achieve. It should be achievable. Use prior year's data, experience, current resources, and capacities to set targets that are reasonable. It should also be realistic. The level of change indicated is attainable. And it should also be time-bound. State the time period within which you will complete the objective. Examples of a SMART objective. ABC Conservation Corps will increase e-waste collection from a baseline of 225 pounds to 300,000 pounds through the addition of 3 curbside collections and 15 special events during fiscal year 2023 as measured by collection logs and CWIS reports. So that's a SMART objective. It has every component we just mentioned on the last slide. Here are some general examples of key activities that may or may not correspond with the SMART objective we just gave. Each objective should have at least 2 key activities. Something like maintain vehicles and equipment necessary to collect, aggregate, and transfer e-waste according to relevant regulations and laws, or maybe to obtain designated collector status from the county. Timelines. Timelines add accountability and increase your ability to evaluate the implementation process. Give a timeline for implementation and/or completion of each activity. It is not necessary to specify a date. A general time frame is okay, like a range of dates or monthly or quarterly, but it can't be ongoing. Outcomes. Think of the outcomes as a deliverable for each activity. A deliverable is something concrete and measurable. Progress toward achievement of the outcomes will be reported in quarterly reports. Therefore, the outcomes should be easy to identify and report out. An example of an outcome should be one of the following: increase in collection of material, an amount of deliverables, or maybe a product that you're producing. Okay, so this is what the GPS looks like. Here's an example of a complete objective within the GPS. If you look at the objective, you will see a number of different colors. These colors correspond to the criteria in the SMART objective. Each criteria is complete because each area of the objective is filled in with its corresponding color. The key activities are not just repeats of the objective. They are activities that support the attainment of the objective. To keep it simple, if the objective is to paint your house by April 15th, then your key activities may be to buy paint or hire a contractor. Next slide, please. The GPS is divided into sections. When completing your GPS, make sure you place each objective in the correct location. For example, training, common objectives, e-waste, and so on. Next slide. Budget development. Cores may only apply for funds to support collection of materials for which they have programs and opportunity. No core is required to apply for 100% of the funding. Cores are encouraged to use the fund swapping option to focus their budget on material programs based on regional needs and opportunities. Next. Next, we have fund swaps. They are allowed again in RLC 39. Fund swaps do not need to be dollar for dollar. If swapping funds with another core, the details and terms must be documented in an MOU and submitted in your grant application. And swaps made in RLC 38 do not apply to RLC 39. You must complete the process each grant cycle. Next slide, please. Your budget workbook. When you receive your budget workbook, please build your budget on the budget workbook tab. The budget should reflect the objectives in your grant project summary. Please utilize your GPS as a living document to help guide your core throughout the fiscal year. Be clear in your budget descriptions on each line item. So I know last year we didn't have real line items. We had some, but we didn't have descriptions. We added descriptions back in, which I'll go over in a second. In addition, be sure to add any out-of-state travel costs. Please double check your work and see if you see the word review in caps and in red in any cells, it means there is an error. Next slide. Here's the budget workbook. So it's the same as last year, except for on the right, you can see that there is description for both your application and for your budget modifications. So if you're going to swap funds, which is really a grant management thing, but I'm just going to mention it here, is that you're going to use one line and then describe in the description box on the right what you're moving and where you're moving it to. Okay. Here, oh, okay, we'll go on to advance, it's fine. This slide shows some information pertaining to advance requests. The slide shows where you indicate that you will be requesting an advance. You will select yes on the invoice tab on the top left, where it asks if your core is taking an advance. Pretty simple. Next slide, please. This shows the advance amounts in the budget workbook. So that's where they will be located. Next slide, please. Here are the requirements for the advance request. There are items you need to complete with your application if you would like to request an advance for this cycle. So you will need an advance justification cover letter. An advance justification cover letter will describe the circumstances that necessitate the advance from each funding source. You will need advance payment supporting documents, which are proof of nonprofit status, if applicable, 2 separate cash flow analysis documents showing your entire budget, not just your grant funds, and one with an advance for each funding source and one without an advance for each funding source. Please make sure these include the grant funding and the advance repayment. Please make sure the amounts are from this cycle's budget and easy to find. And you will also need the most recent financial statement. Later on, after the advances have been approved by Department of Finance, we will ask that you submit your advance acknowledgement form, your Form 87, and your Form 87 attachment when you request your advance. Feedback from past cycles. Refer to the edits on your GPS from last year. Make sure that any repeated objectives are updated in terms of measurable outcomes, activities, and timelines. So it's okay to use the same objective, just make sure that you're adjusting it to the new fiscal year. Read through previous cycles GPS prior to completing the current one. If you find that data was repeated, ensure that you organize your GPS in a way that does not encourage repeated responses for the upcoming cycle. Avoid key activities that are hard to report on by creating activities in a way that mirrors your internal record-keeping practices. Lastly, please thoroughly review your advanced package before submission. Application review process. Your grant manager and our fiscal process oversight staff review your application. If any revisions are needed for the budget, GPS, or advanced packages, your grant manager will contact you. Please respond promptly to these inquiries. If you have questions concerning your application, contact your grant manager. If you have questions concerning the grant management system, contact GMS admin at calrecycle.ca.gov at the information on this slide. But also Natalie Gandolfo is our FPO contact, and she will be available for any questions relating to resolutions or letters of commitment and anything else that has to do with GMS itself. And that is all I have. Are there any questions? I don't have questions. Slide, do I? Nope.
I don't see any questions in the chat, Renee.
Kayla Dean has, when will we receive the budget workbook?
The budget workbook should be in GMS now in resources.
No, I think we updated it after the review. So it should, I will look at that right after we get out of here, and I will see if I can send it today. And if so, I'll send it today.
Great.
Yolanda Mader asked, did I hear Derek say that we need to send a Word document for our project summary? No, he was saying to write your project summary, copy paste it from last year, and edit it to whatever you want it to be, but put it in a Word document so you can see how many characters are in it, so that we can just use your summary information in grants.ca.gov instead of having to modify it to make it 600 count of characters that they require. The budget workbook is in GMS, but I do not think it is the most up-to-date one, because we added the description lines, I think, last week, and we didn't want to have to go all the way through the approval process in order to do that. So we're going to send you the newest copy. Hopefully that's okay to share.
All right.
Okay, well, if that's all the questions, feel free to contact your grant manager if you have any other questions that come up. We are here to help you. This recording will be available shortly, and I'll also send out the PowerPoint so that you can use the PowerPoint and all the information on the PowerPoint to fill out your application. I think, go ahead, Derek. You have anything else?
No, I don't. You guys did a great job last year on your applications, and so I'm anticipating another successful application period. And the main thing is the advance package. Everybody's advance gets combined together into one package that goes to Department of Finance. It goes through multiple layers here of approval, FPO, and our budgets office, and then off to the Department of Finance. So it's really important that everybody is really careful and does that correctly, so that we don't have any delays in getting the approval. But hopefully we will get our budget coding early this year compared to prior years, and we'll be able to get grant awards out sooner than before. So we will all keep our fingers crossed. We're kind of at the mercy of the whole budget process and the the ability of the budget's office, our budget's office, to get codes put together after the budget's approved. So we will keep you updated as we hear things. It's so quiet today.
I know.
Okay, well, Renee, I guess that's it.
Yep. Okay, well, everybody have a good application period. And I look forward to reviewing your applications. I'm sure all of our grant managers do as well.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. Thanks everybody for coming.